Good morning. I'm Mandy Lee Garofalo. I use she, her pronouns, and I'd like to welcome you to Bucksmont Unitarian Universalist Fellowship's multi-platform worship. We're moved by love. We share lifelong journeys of growth, wonder, and healing. Nurturing wholeness in society and spirit, creating a community of justice and compassion. I'd like to give a welcome to everyone joining us online and in person today, members, friends, and those who may be newcomers to our community this morning. As we begin our service, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. If you are new to Bucksmont and visiting us in person today, please stop by our visitor center near the front hallway, in the front hallway near where you came in. There you can also make a name tag for yourself and find more information about Unitarian Universalism, Bucksmont Fellowship, and upcoming events. If you'd like a hymnal or a printed order of service, those are available near the entrance to our sanctuary. If you are visiting us online or prefer digital methods, please email our office administrator, Beverly, to sign up for our email newsletter and get connected to our congregation. You may also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bucksmont UU. Each week in our service, we offer time for people to share a joy or sorrow from their lives by texting a phone number. That number is shared on the screen for everyone now and will be again later in the service. If you would like to see the order of service, details about upcoming services, and other ways to gather with our community, you can find that on the homepage of our website, www.bucksmontuu.org. Whether you are a guest, friend, or member, we are glad you're part of our worship service today. There's a lot happening at Bucksmont, and we'd like to highlight these announcements in particular. Bucksmont donated $1,304.71 to Hands Holding Hearts, our March split plate recipient. Are you looking for an easy way to join the behind-the-scenes life of the congregation? Then consider joining the AV team. We are holding 3 open houses over the next few months starting today, April 22nd, May 19th, or June 16th, after service, where you can get started on your path to becoming an AV tech wizard. If you know how to point and click, you are more than halfway through your training. Questions? See any member of the team. They're always at the desk, or Margaret or Kevin. Celebrate Earth Day at Bucksmont today. After the service, watch Nature's Best Hope by Doug Tallamy, a professor of etymology and wildlife ecology at U of Delaware, and a prominent advocate for landscaping with native plants to preserve wildlife. Then stop at our native plant swap in Bucksmont's garden. Add to your native plant collection by swapping one of yours for one of mine. Mother Earth says thank you. Join Gaia's Rainbow at our annual Beltane Maypole celebration on Sunday, April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. in the gardens area. If it rains, the ritual will be canceled. All are welcome. Bring food and or beverage items to share. For more information, contact Tammy at gaiasrainbow@bucksmontuu.org. And then thanks everyone for your donations to our Star Wars auction. Make sure you bring your items to the library by April 28th. See Friday's eVoice for more information. And now we have a special announcement from the auction committee.
As we gather in our sanctuary, in our homes, or watch from mobile screens almost anywhere, we are all together. Those watching now on Sunday and those who may be watching months from now, we are joined together for worship across both space and time. This is a free, creedless religious congregation in the discipline of truth and the spirit of universal kinship. We join together in a cooperative quest for religious and ethical values, seeking to apply these values to the development of character, enrichment of the spirit, and service to all. You are welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever the color of your skin or your country of origin, no matter your gender expression or gender identity, whatever your age, however you define family, wherever you are at this time, and whatever the source of your faith, you are welcome here.
I forget something.
Don't mind us, we forgot to light our candle.
This morning, as we do each time we gather, we kindle our Unitarian Universalist chalice. We do so today with words from Reverend Kim Mason. Once upon a time, chemists believed they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We laugh, but are we not also in the business of alchemy, turning loneliness into connection, pain into comfort, anger into solidarity, faith into action? The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, transforms individuals into community. Here we engage in a holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together. Please light your chalice at home. Our common chalice is now lit.
Good morning. My name is Diane. I use she, her pronouns. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near
I'd like to welcome the children and actually anyone who feels a child at heart to come and join me for Time for All Ages. You ready? Does anyone know what this book is from, maybe? Something? Does anyone ever hear of Star Wars? Star Wars? Yeah. Maybe this is a new crowd. They haven't heard of Star Wars. Maybe. This book is called The Galaxy Needs You. Now, a galaxy is a very large space with lots of stars. It's so large we can't even imagine it. But the galaxy needs you. Have you ever stopped to think about how there is nobody else in the galaxy who is exactly like you? You. Nobody else has your hair, or your eyes, or your smile. Nobody else is smart in the way that you're smart, or curious in the way that you're curious. Nobody else likes the exact same things you like, or is kind in the particular way that you're kind. Is she helping? Yeah, she's helping right there. Nobody else is strong in the same way that you are strong, or makes friends the way you do. Yeah. And nobody is brave the way you're brave. You are truly one of a kind. Yeah. You have everything inside yourself that you need to succeed. We don't want to pull that down. Oh, boy. Okay. All you have to do is reach for it and not be afraid. No matter where the journey takes you, or who you meet, or what you learn along the way, know that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you face your problems head on and fight for what you believe in. Even if someone tries to tell you that you're nothing or nobody, I hope nobody tells you that, but if they do, just know that simply isn't true. You can do hard things, and you can fix things that seem impossible to fix. So hold on to what makes you special. Yeah. You do know this, and work hard to learn and grow every day. Stick with the friends who cheer you on each step of the way. And when things seem dark, remember to look to the light, because the galaxy needs you, because there's nobody else like you. Yeah. Thank you very much. And now we are going to go down to our classrooms. Okay.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love. As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
The offering in liberal religion is a vital part of our history of faith. As a covenanted community, people who freely choose to be here, our voluntary giving is symbolic of that freedom of choice. Each week at Bucksmont, we share our offering with a different cause or organization in the community. For the month of April, we are sharing with Kin Wellness and Support, a community creating a comforting, non-medical treatment that offers care and support to all who battle cancer in Bucks County. Kin offers an array of free services which are facilitated by over 50 volunteer practitioners, including Bucksmont members Rosemary Monaco, Nancy Taylor, and Margaret Henley. Some of the services offered include yoga, various support groups, arts and crafts, date and family nights with live music, nutrition programs including cooking classes, a meditative labyrinth, peer-to-peer meetups, gardening, library and research center, and one-on-one and family therapy. Since all Kin programs are offered free of charge, our donations will touch the lives of many in our area. We ask that you participate in our morning offering in one of these ways. You can write out a check to Bucksmont and mail it into the fellowship. You may donate online now or at the end of our worship service, or you may place your donation into one of the baskets as they are passed. We will now receive the morning offering. Our community continues to grow and thrive due to generous donations of both time and money. For the many ways that you contribute and how it sustains our fellowship, we are truly grateful. This morning's reading is Cultivating Trust as an Organizing Strategy, Lessons from Mycelium Mushrooms by Adaku, Utah. Mycelium mushrooms have been one of my greatest teachers of trust. The word mycelium means more than one. The mycelium organism is a dynamic root system of mushrooms that utilizes trust as a mechanism to build and sustain a vast, reciprocal underground network that connects the roots of trees and plants and skillfully shares nutrients and resources to support the health of the entire ecosystem with which it moves. The mycelial network cannot exist without trust. The mycelium communication highway recognizes and believes in the collective ability to channel and receive nutrients where needed, protect against parasites, and expand roots into necessary sites of growth. The network process also fosters intergenerational relationships that welcome the myriad of ancient wisdom and connections that reside in older trees to benefit younger trees. These mushrooms affirm a commitment to building relationships of trust that encourage all life to bloom, one that I aspire to embody more and more in my organizing practice. It takes courage to bring our trust forward and invite another person to meet us there. This sometimes unsure, often shaky surrender is an opportunity to discover something deeper than the confines of our individual experience. A catalyst to grow beyond ourselves, to find the places where love can exist even when we are unsure of the destination, to embrace a kind of faith brave enough to yield a wider focus, often unseen with a singular lens. Cultivating trust is an organizing strategy. It illuminates the distinct potential to generate meaningful communication, yield collaboration grounded in sustenance, bolster collective commitment, and acknowledge competence and worth. Trust intercepts blame and attack and invites care and compassion to take the lead. It takes the time to ensure that practices are aligned with values. In times of crisis, trust knows that you won't be intentionally hurt by comrades. It relies on our imagination's harvest and initiates possibility filled with hope and inspiration. It encourages us to delegate and share our work so imbalance dissolves and burnout fades. Trust invites us to come together for the sake of collective liberation.
Just a fair warning. This sermon might get a bit weird along the way. But the title is Money, Mushrooms, and Mattering, so I hope I've at least signaled that possibility to you already. This morning we are talking about economic equity, as our theme for the month is equity in many forms. How do we work for a more equitable world when the core way we structure power is through money and finance, which we also have a whole lot of evidence is structured in a way that only rarely, sometimes, if we squint really hard, pretends to be just at all? Our current economic system of capitalism also reinforces the idea of the individual as a real thing that is able to be measured apart from their or its surroundings, history, and relationships. A lot of the way supply chains and globalization works requires this. Each egg needs to be measurable, a certain size and color, and removed from the history of the chicken who laid it, the farm it came from, and the people who gathered it. It only matters that the egg is size AA, for example. Then all the size AA eggs can go into the global market for eggs. People also are subject to this in a variety of ways. Take credit scores, for example. Here is a bit about how we got them from the Times article, The Long Twisted History of Your Credit Score by Sean Trainer. Credit began as a social thing in the 1700s in America. Country storekeepers secured loans by asking well-regarded neighbors to vouch for their character to bankers and merchants. Then in the 1820s, business people needed to secure credit in a growing, urbanizing country, with people moving more from the neighbors who knew them well and could vouch for them. In 1841, the Mercantile Agency gathered information from correspondents throughout the country and wrote them down on massive ledgers in New York City. These reports were subjective, often racist, and sometimes just plain confusing, like this example about a Philadelphia merchant named Charles Dull. There is a good prejudice as among the trade, enjoys generally a poor reputation as a man, but is generally supposed to have money. That's it. In 1857, commercial credit rating was born to give a number to people seeking business loans, converting the subjective to something that looked more scientific and neutral. Almost a full century later, the techniques would be used and perfected for consumer credit scoring by companies like the Retail Credit Company, or RCC, which would rebrand itself later after harsh public criticism when they wanted to computerize people's credit records, and congressional oversight known as the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1970. RCC became Equifax, which is now one of the three main credit scoring companies for consumers in America. Our modern FICO, F-I-C-O credit scores began being used only in 1989 widely, and are largely unchanged since, giving almost every person in America a number score that supposedly reflects how creditworthy an individual person is, removing much of the context of their history, relationships to other people, and other pieces of context beyond what is scored. People, much like eggs, are able to be made to appear on a scale from 0 to 800. The lower your score, the larger down payments and higher interest rates are likely to be for you compared to those with a higher score. Much of how we are valued today has to do with our value monetarily. How much money we have, how much money we can make, and how productive we can be. A big part of that is how much debt we can manage. Our credit scores reflect this. We are rewarded with a higher score when we successfully manage debt, but not too much. This success is not in paying it off. It is in having it over a long period of time and making the payments on time and consistently. We are rewarded or valued for having the right kinds and amounts of debt for many years. Andrew Lokanoth, author of the Finance Newsletter, writes, My credit score dropped when I paid off my car. My credit score dropped when I paid off my student loans. Credit reporting agencies told me, you should get more loans to increase your credit score. The system punishes you for not owing them money. They want you to be in debt. Credit scoring is one of the biggest scams. But why? Because we are valuable to the larger economic landscape when we can survive paying interest over many years. And we are evaluated on our individual ability to do this, not as a family or as a community, but as an individual. So what might mushrooms have to do with all of this? I'm glad you asked. In the book, The Mushroom at the End of the World, see, there it is, on the possibility of life in capitalist ruins, author and anthropologist Anna Tsing traces the relationships between humans, our environment, and the ways we value things and people by following the stories of Matsutake mushrooms, some of the most valuable mushrooms in the world, and the people who gather them, transport them, and want them all around the globe, but particularly in Japan. In it, Tsing writes, We are stuck with the problem of living despite economic and ecological ruination. Neither tales of people or progress nor of ruin tell us how to think about collaborative survival. It is time to pay attention to mushroom picking. Not that this will save us, but it might open our imaginations. Without stories of progress, the world has become a terrifying place. The ruin glares at us with the horror of its abandonment. It's not easy to know how to make a life, much less avert planetary destruction. Luckily, there is still company, human and not human. We can explore the overgrown verges of our blasted landscapes, the edges of capitalist discipline, scalability, and abandoned resource plantations. We can still catch the scent of the latent commons and the elusive autumn aroma of mushrooms. Singh's book argues that staying alive for every species requires livable collaborations. Collaboration means working across difference, which leads to contamination. Without collaborations, we all die. So what do we do with this hopeful message from Singh? We have the modern world in which we live, intertwined with the way capitalism works or doesn't work, to put value on almost everything, from mushrooms to people, and including each moment of our waking lives. I was struck by the challenge of this when someone shared at our centering retreat just yesterday that she is sometimes embarrassed or has trouble admitting to others when she has a day where she does nothing. Not that she did literally nothing and ceased to exist for that day, but nothing that might be valued by the larger world. Not working or shopping or making things, just being. I hear similar sentiments regularly at our retreats and in other conversations around our fellowship. The challenge of not being productive. I would argue that could be one of the best lessons religion can teach us: how to resist economic productivity. We use lots of words for it, things like self-care, mental health days, Sabbaths, personal retreats, fun employment, spiritual practice, staycations, etc. What many of these terms are talking around is the idea that it is okay to not do anything in particular. In fact, it might be healing or life-giving to do so, or to do things for pleasure or relaxation or relationship building that are not tied to economic reasons, or at least only loosely tied to economic reasons. We need to balance navigating the realities of things like credit scores and the need to access money to move through this world with the very real unfolding of late-stage capitalism and a world that is unraveling as a result of the extraction of resources as the main driver of our global economy. Anna Singh writes, "Imagining the human since the rise of capitalism entangles us with ideas of progress and the spread of techniques of alienation that turn both humans and other beings into resources. Such techniques have segregated humans and policed identities, obscuring collaborative survival. The concept of the Anthropocene both evokes this bundle of aspirations, which one might call the modern human conceit, and raises the hope that we might muddle beyond it. Can we live inside this regime of the human and still exceed it? When I think about the lessons we might learn from mushrooms and resisting the harmful effects of our economic system, or working toward more economic equity, the main thing I find that matters is resistance to the idea that we are in this alone. Our economic futures should not be summed up by things like credit scores. Instead, we should focus on reconnecting with community and acknowledging that things are not always all right in the world. Returning to Singh's book, she writes, "Precarity is the condition of being vulnerable to others. Unpredictable encounters transform us. We are not in control, even of ourselves. Unable to rely on a stable structure of community, we are thrown into shifting assemblages, which remake us as well as our others. We can't rely on the status quo. Everything is in flux, including our ability to survive. Thinking through precarity changes social analysis. A precarious world is a world without teleology. Indeterminacy, the unplanned nature of time, is frightening. But thinking through precarity makes it evident that indeterminacy also makes life possible." I admit, precarity sounds pretty negative to me, and there are definitely things about it that are negative. But precarity can also open us up to relationships of mutuality that make something different possible, which is what Adaku Utah shared in this morning's reading about lessons from mycelium mushrooms. The mycelium communication highway recognizes and believes in the collective ability to channel and receive nutrients where needed, protect against parasites, and expand roots into necessary sites of growth. The network process also fosters intergenerational relationships that welcome the myriad of ancient wisdom and connections that reside in older trees to benefit younger ones. It takes courage to bring our trust forward and invite another person to meet us there. This sometimes unsure, often shaky surrender is an opportunity to discover something deeper than the confines of our individual experience. A catalyst to grow beyond ourselves, to find the places where love can exist when we are unsure of the destination. To embrace a kind of faith brave enough to yield a wider focus, often unseen, with a singular lens. Cultivating trust is an organizing strategy. Trust invites us to come together for the sake of collective liberation. This place is one place to practice how to be relational rather than individual, how to build hyper-local alternatives to the large international systems that have come to dominate so much of how we live our lives. We literally pool our resources here, monetary and relational, to make things happen that we could not on our own. Our building is a gathering place not just for us on Sunday morning, but also for birthday parties, memorial services, and community conversations, to name just a few. We make music here. We make intergenerational connections here. Other examples include projects like KIN that we're supporting this month, and community gardens, housing cooperatives and cooperatives for neighborhood childcare, or community tool libraries where you can check out a lawnmower or a weed trimmer rather than having each household own one on its own. How might we do better at practicing what it means to live precariously and to build relationships out of that reality? To remind ourselves that we do not need to be perfect at it either. I get caught up in the pleasures of modern life too. I still think my iPhone is magic. Having a computer in my pocket that can do almost anything. I am lost without a Wi-Fi or cell phone signal. Literally, I can't find things without those. And just this week, Justin and I unknowingly had both ordered the most absolutely unnecessary item, an octopus statue that is a coffee cup holder. They arrived via Amazon from another country, almost by magic, and far too quickly to have been done justly. And now we have not one, but a matching set of two of them. Do they make me smile? Yes, absolutely. That's why we both ordered them. Did we need them? Not at all, not even a little bit. So I hope we can help each other remember that we are of much more value than what the economy might indicate. As these words posted to Tumblr by user Panda Valkyrie on May 26th, 2012. Try to. You are good at something. Stop lying to yourself. You're good at breaking down comic book plots, cooking ramen perfectly, making your friends happy, knowing the time without looking at the clock, getting the perfect ending at RPGs, or figuring out the twist ending to movies. Don't let society tell you your talents are meaningless because they don't serve an economical purpose. Your talents reflect your interests and passions, and what's important to you is important. May we embrace the incompleteness of equity, not as the ending of the story, but the beginning. May we never believe we are done, but instead always be widening the circle still more. And may we keep reminding ourselves that we are in this together. So may it be.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 22, Dear Weavers of Our Lives' Design. Dear weaver of our lives' design, whose patterns all appear, with skillful fingers gently guide the sturdy threads that will survive the tangle of our days. Take up the fabric of our lives with hands that gently hold. Bind in the ragged edge we care would sunder, and that pain would tear and mend our raveling souls. Let eyes that in the plainness cloth a hidden beauty see, discern in us our richest hues, show us the patterns we may use to set our spirits free.
Let us now enter into a time of awareness within ourselves and connection beyond boundaries, connection to one another, to that interdependent web of life of which we are each but one small thread. As we breathe in, we are connected. As we breathe out, we are connected. I share these words from Gary Kowalski with gratitude. Maybe prayer doesn't mean talking to God at all. Maybe it means just listening, unplugging the TV, turning off the computer, quieting the mental chatter and distractions. Maybe it means listening to the birds and the insects, the wind in the leaves, the creaking and groaning of the trees, noticing. Who else is out there, not far away, but nearby, sitting so still we can hear our heartbeat? Watch our breath, the gentle whoosh of air, the funny noises from our own insides, marveling at the body we take so much for granted. Maybe it means listening to our dreams, paying more attention to what we really want from life, and less attention to all the nagging, scolding voices from our past. Or maybe it's all about listening to each other, not thinking ahead to how we can answer or rebuke or parry or advise or admonish, but actually being present to each other. Perhaps if we just sit quietly, we'll overhear a peace whispering through the centuries that's missing from the clamor of the moment. Maybe a prayer means listening to the silence between the words, noticing the negativity of space, the vast, undifferentiated, and nameless wonder that underlies it all. Maybe prayer doesn't mean talking to God at all, but listening with the heart to the angel choirs all around us. Those who have ears, let them hear. As we breathe in, we are connected. As we breathe out, we are connected. May our minds create a vision of the world radical enough to be called holy. May our actions contain the promise of hope and the commitment to justice. May our hearts remember that love is a force that resists all forms of fear. By our thoughts, by our actions, by our hearts, and by our very breath, may it be so. As part of our caring outreach to one another, we set aside a few moments to note both the sorrows and the joys in our lives. In these moments of peace and reflection, we turn our attention to one another. We hold each and all in our compassionate thoughts and the prayers of our hearts. This morning, we are dropping stones into water. The bowl includes some of the water we gathered as a community back in September, so it contains the love of our congregation surrounding each joy or sorrow. As we add the stones to the bowl, our experiences are given weight and depth. We add a piece of our own stories to the collective waters of this community, a place that also holds the memories of those who have gone before and anticipates those who have yet to arrive. To share the joy or sorrow you would like held by our caring community, text the number that is now on screen. Please include your name along with your sharing. It is the same number no matter how you join us today, and you can add it to your contacts for future weeks. I will read them aloud, and Mandy Lee will add a stone to the water on your behalf. What is shared today will go out into our weekly caring notes for those who cannot be with us this morning. Please remember to include your name with what you share. And now we will add a final stone for all of the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken and deep within our hearts. With stones gathered and remembrances shared, we honor our joys and our sorrows, those shared this morning and the many, many more that exist beyond words. Through our time together, our relationships are deepened and our community made whole.
Please rise and body your spirit and join in our closing hymn 128, For All That Is Our Life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, for we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fear for hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, for we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
Our chalice extinguishing words this morning are from Reverend Denise Cawley. Love our earth. Take action to consume less, use less energy, respect water, and be cooperative, collaborative, and creative community. Like the moss and the mushrooms, our children's lives depend on us.
As our community departs from this service, don't forget about our Earth Day celebrations that are coming up shortly. And may we remember all who came before. May we imagine all who will come after. May we honor all who are present with us here and now. In our time together, we create this community, one of promise, one of commitment, one of mutuality. In our time together, may each of us become a sanctuary for all we meet on the journey. May we go together now and return again.